Good afternoon, I'm Jacinta with 2NURFM Hunter News. Fire and Rescue New South Wales is urging Hunter residents to pay attention to items on the Department of Fair Trading recall list following a washing machine fire in Arcadia Vale last night. The residents were aware their washing machine was on the list but had yet to return it or get it looked at. Superintendent Tom Cooper says residents who have the same Samsung model should not continue to use it.
Just after 6:30 last night, crews from Wangi in Toronto attended a fire in a home at 53 Glade Street in Arcadia Vale. Now, when fire crews arrived, they found a smoke-logged house and there was a washing machine on fire in the laundry. Fire Rescue New South Wales are urging anybody who has one of these washing machines that is subject to a recall to make sure that they get it looked at before they continue to use it.
Forjax is set to undergo further layoffs, with around 150 job losses expected at its Tomago site after the naval destroyer contract ends. The figure represents up to a quarter of total employees, the remainder without any guarantee of work. New South Wales Secretary for the Australian Workers' Union, Tim Ayres, says federal parliament are not the only ones to blame for these issues.
What people really need are local federal members of parliament who stand up for Australian industry. Bob Baldwin's happy to point the finger at the other side of politics, but he hasn't lifted a finger to defend jobs in Newcastle and the Hunter Valley. The Abbott government has failed abjectly to defend the interests of Australian shipbuilding, and Bob Baldwin has been asleep in his office while these big decisions have been made, and he's let the people of Newcastle down.
However, Paterson MP Bob Baldwin says contracts should have been made by the Labor government for them to be viable today.
It shows that Tim Ayres is nothing more than a hack for the Labor Party, if that's his understanding. Because if he actually understood the industry, he would know that in order for work to be there today, contracts would have had to have occurred in 2011.
Raworth residents who opposed a 16-unit development to be built on Morpeth Road have won their battle with council. Maitland councillors unanimously agreed with residents that it was an overdevelopment and refused the application at a general meeting last night. Councillor Steve Proctor says he backs the decision.
The development called for 16 homes to be built on this particular block. And when we looked at it, we just thought it was too much for this particular block. The neighbours had some very good arguments, so we obviously back the neighbours where we can, where they're right.
Fly Pelican has announced it will add more flights to its Newcastle to Canberra service only 3 weeks after introducing it. The additional services will begin in late July, running on Monday mornings and Thursday and Friday evenings. Fly Pelican CEO Paul Graham says the trip is used more for work than pleasure.
Predominantly we're looking at business. A lot of people will depart for Canberra on a Monday or a Tuesday morning and return from either a week or a few days of business on a Thursday, Friday evening, and that's really what's trending at the moment.
And briefly, Dungog residents working to recover belongings in Mile Creek will be receiving a helping hand from the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries, with a clean-up team set to spend the next 6 weeks removing rubbish. And Newcastle Ocean Baths will be closed today and tomorrow as crews clear the channel of sand and debris.
Sport for our sponsor, NewcastleCheapersCars.com.au.
Newcastle forward Corbin Sims says he's ready to step up in Friday night's clash with Brisbane. The 23-year-old would lead the charge despite team setbacks, with fellow forward Cade Snowden out on suspension and Jack Stockwell and David Farlongo and Chris Howson off due to injury. Sims says it's all about strategy.
I'm looking forward to that challenge and something that I've wanted to do. I wouldn't be starting if I wouldn't think I was up to the challenge. So be it. If we can get a good go forward and then let our backs finish off, then that's perfect.
Meanwhile, the Knights could be looking to sign Bulldogs halfback Trent Hodkinson after the 26-year-old met with officials yesterday. Hodkinson would be a welcome addition as key players Kurt Gidley, Beau Scott and Joey Leilua move on. And Knights forward Joey Tapine has been acquitted on charges of grievous bodily harm after breaking a man's jaw outside a Merewether hotel last year. In soccer, the Jets are closing in on a new head of performance to join newly appointed head coach Scott Miller. It's hoped the position will be filled by July 6th, with another A-League community forum scheduled for tonight. And Charlestown striker Scott Smith has been handed a 2-game suspension for abusing an official during the Blues' 2-0 loss to Edgeworth. That's sport. I'm Reece Wicks.
2NURFM News time is 12:10.